welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. Whoop whoop, it's Thursday, February 16th. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. I am the badass Buddha Lori Monaco coming to you from a lovely southern Connecticut where it is wintertime and it is 51 degrees out currently.
Wow, this early in the morning, that's great. Good
Global
morning,
warming at its
Tiffany Prime.
finest. Global warming at its finest. So good morning. And who, pray tell, may you be? Might you be?
Hola, mi gente, aquí con la Margarita, your gladiator guru. And yes, happy Thursday. I don't have the weekends off, so I can't even say I can't wait for the weekend. But here is sunny already outside. I'm sure it's muggy here in the sunshine state of Florida. So, buenos dias. Happy
Morning,
Thursday. I
Tiffany
know. At work,
Prime.
they do this thing called Thirsty Thursdays, and you would think, oh, it's a can of soda and a bag of potato chips. It's like you can have it. Thirsty Thursday. I think it's the message behind that they try to do that makes it sweet, I guess. I don't know.
Good morning to Tiffany Bryan. We missed you. We haven't seen
I
you pop in. We're
know.
glad that you're here. And Milagros always Milagros is just, she sets her clock to it, and we are so appreciative of it. You have no idea. Thank you so much for being here, the both of you and everyone else that's popping in. We're so happy. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow, all that lovely stuff. Always make sure that you're sharing. Just put it out to your tribes. Send it out in messages. Hey, join this is really great because we're having such great conversations. We're talking about acknowledge and acceptance the whole month of February. We really kicked it off so strongly, and it is not slowing down for the rest of the month. The titles that Gladiator Guru came up for this month are kick ass and wild, and they are there specifically to jumpstart you into really taking action this year. So what are the things that you sort of been slowed down with, the things that you kind of been holding off or procrastinating on. This is the year. Make this the year to really move forward and fulfill those dreams and do those things that you want to do, and maybe end relationships or jobs that have not been they leave you unfulfilled or even frustrated or pissed off. Good morning, Lydia Villanueva. Good morning.
Buenos dias. Yes, I agree with everything you said. This we thought 2020 was the time of uncertainty, or 2021, whatever, however you have it after that. I think if we don't live our day to the fullest in the present, then you know what? It's every day is a day of uncertainty. You have to have that trust in God. You have to have that faith that, everything will be okay if you put your faith behind it. And if it doesn't, it's still okay, because everything you want don't mean you should have. And that's a misconception with people. We pray when we really want something, and then we forget until something bad happens, and then we pray again. And I think the key to any success in any of our lives, trust me, this is what I've learned the hard way, is commitment. Gravitate towards something that you want to believe in, that you want to have a continuous flow in your life, and commit yourself to it. Dedicate yourself to it the same way you do when you get up dragging your ass to do what you have to do, to get up and go to someone else's company at a certain time, take a break when they tell you, and then come home when they tell you. So it's the same way with everything in your life. When you do your business, be as diligent. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm learning. Be diligent in your time, in your beliefs, in your knowing. Because to believe it, I believe I can do it if I try. But when you know, I know I can do that. I've done it before. So there is a difference in belief and knowing. Do you believe in God? Well, yeah. Me, when they say you believe in God, I said, no, I know my God. So it's just a power behind the words we say. So start speaking positivity into your life. Everything she said just now is so true. Every day is a new day to make something different or to continue the thread of what you started yesterday, and then just boom, do it. Through being tired. Working this job has taught me so much about myself. I am like so amazing. And I love myself.
We know.
And it is a beautiful thing, because even when I make a mistake, or when I not at my frequency is not at a high bar, I still do not berate myself. It's like, all right, I guess I needed that break, or I needed that extra hour of sleep, or I just needed to be like organizing in my brain. But this mantra time, I don't know. I'm sorry, I always hijack it. And Lori says something and she sparks on this thing. And then here we are. So thank
Well, the
you.
first thing to making changes is to know that you have a problem. So that's good.
There you go. I tell you, I accept the good, the bad, the
Oh my
ugly,
God,
because
listen, it works out because I'm trying, to get like everything shared. So when you're talking, it's good. It's when you take those pauses when I'm in the midst of the sharing that it's like, uh-oh, there's nothing being said.
I know, take the
So
pauses. But yeah, so, you know, thank you, Milagros, for saying you love being here. We love being here every Tuesday and Thursday morning.
we do.
Um, it doesn't matter if we didn't sleep the night before. It's we love being here. But, you know, we can't be in control of everything. We cannot change anything. We just have to be open for the changes that we must make in our spirit. We must be open to the ideas that things aren't going to always be the way we want them, or they're not even going to be for us. We should not receive everything we want, but be grateful in everything we have. Because if we already have it, that means we needed it. If it's something that's burdening us and we just got it because, then it's not something you needed. It's something you wanted, and you sacrifice your needs for your wants. And that causes a significant amount of unhappiness in your life. And then that causes you to question yourself and question everybody. So then your acknowledgement, everything vibrates low that we talked about, your awareness and all of that. So let's stay true to ourselves, and in doing that, get to know yourself, and then love yourself, and then be amazed by yourself, and all the while growing, because
Yes.
I am amazing.
And be around people that feel that way because it boosts you up. Especially if it's uncomfortable for you. If you've lived your life where you've always played small and felt you were less than,
Mm-hmm.
it's you have to relearn that. You have to retrain your brain to feel that way about yourself. So be around people that feel that way about themselves. And we live in a world that's very entitled. We're not talking when a person says, I love myself, doesn't mean that they're self-centered, arrogant, entitled. They can be, but that's not the people that you really want to be around. Those are not the people that you want to be around. You want to be around the people that are very humbled, that they understand the power of saying, I love myself, but they also have a compassion for others, and they want to do the greater good for all people. And this because it doesn't have to be about them all the time. And because that's what I struggled with. It's like, how do you balance, in increasing your self-worth and believing in yourself and loving yourself so much without teetering into that self-centered selfishness. And it's possible though. It's being centered self, understanding yourself, falling in love with who you are and your contribution to your world, and then sharing it. When you know knowledge, you share that knowledge with people because you lift somebody else up, and you don't need to pat yourself on the back for doing that. That's really the big difference. So let's set our intention and let's do our mantra and let's get on with this fabulous conversation today. So as always with Viva, set your intention today. It's anything that you want it to be. Just be intentional. You could set it right at this moment. You could set it right after the show. You could even set it multiple times during the day. It is so fine as long as you are intentional in your day. And add to that,
Be grateful in everything you do. Do it in gratitude, because that's just like breathing.
yep. Gratitude is very underrated sometimes, or people don't quite understand gratitude. Gratitude requires you to sit quietly and feel it. Not just say, "Oh, I'm so grateful for you," and like you don't mean it. It's like you had said that before, Gladiator Guru. It has to come from your heart. So you have to connect with that. You have to give yourself time to really feel that and sit with that. So take that time today. And now let us do our mantra. Say it loud, say it proud. Here we go. I am a disruptor.
I am a disruptor.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am magically orgasmic.
Ole,
And I keep it real.
that's it. Walk the walk, baby girl.
I'm really glad that we changed that last piece. I keep it because that really is. That's what you have to say. I keep it real.
And
I
live
keep
it.
it real, real. The real, real. Not that when somebody says, "Yeah, I'm real." No, you're not. Like,
Don't lie to yourself when you say that. Don't.
correct.
And then don't get upset when somebody calls you out on your line. If you're gonna say it, live it. I always say it, and I'm called crazy. I'm called mean. I'm called rude. When I'm just blunt, when I call it as I see it, and when you're too sensitive, so don't be around me, please. It's just the bottom line. And I tell people that if you're gonna be too sensitive, then we can't have this. For those of you who know. So that's the
No,
beauty
no.
of me, because what Lori was saying earlier, it's true. You know what? Fall in love with yourself and don't give a shit who thinks you're conceited or who thinks you're selfish. Be selfish as well. Because when you don't put yourself first, then what? You're not, when you stand for nothing, you fall for
Well, for
everything.
anything, because you're right.
You know? And the thing is, you can be in love with yourself, because if you start the cultivation, you will just, it be an abundant harvest. Start cultivating self-trust, self-belief, because that equals into self-love. If you
Mm.
trust yourself enough to know that you're not going to be this big egotistical person walking out expecting everybody to roll the carpet for you. See, there's two types of self-love. There's that one that you are a diva or an entitled individual, and then you got the ones that just know who they are, therefore they can love without pretense, without condition. Be that. So, I wrote, I am happy. I am love. I am in love with myself, because I have cultivated the self-trust, self-respect, self-honor, self-love. I will not conform to anyone's idea of how I should be, who I should be, and how I should behave in any place, by any person, wearing anything. And I will not water myself down to make anybody else feel comfortable. You have to walk in your truth. When you walk in your truth, you speak what you speak. You stand up for what you believe in. You don't observe the room and say, I shouldn't say that because look at so and so over there, and then it's gonna get back to so and so. So you're not walking in your truth.
Yes.
You're not living who you are. You're still projecting outside of you. So as long as you're not being mean, as long as you're not starting chaos, trouble, provoking anybody, walk in your truth. When you walk in your truth, you're not a popular person. If you want to be popular, if you want to be liked by people, then stay fake. Stay using the word I'm authentic. And just, you know what? Just be a pack of Swiss cheese where you're filling the holes to accommodate everyone around you. And then you feel emptier and emptier. Then you want to blame God, and you want to blame your parents, you want to blame your siblings. Love yourself. When someone says, are you happy? Think about it. Are you happy? And then figure out why you're not happy in certain areas of your life and fix it.
Right.
That's It's that simple. Life
Yep.
is so simple and we make it difficult with all these, but you don't
Yes,
understand.
we do.
Well, I tried that. Well, my mother did this and my father. We're all victims of life circumstances. We all are victims. It don't matter how much money you have in your bank account, what kind of privileged person you grew up in, what neighborhoods. I'm proud I was born and raised in Father Panic Village. Proud. I've never lived in a projects ever since that by choice. And as I got older, I made sure because you have certain things happen to you, and it's either to build you up and make you stronger. Because nothing in life is for you to become speckles of dirt on anybody's shoe. And if you remember that, if you remind yourself, never, I'm not that. I wasn't born for that. You don't keep falling on your ass. And if you do, you rise up much more quicker. Because when you become aware of the power of who you are, then you acknowledge it and you forgive anything that held you back in the past. And then you walk your life into holding yourself accountable and loving those people around you and choosing who you want to have around you. But you know what? Sometimes we need that salty, sour person every now and then to remind us, oh shit, I was almost forgetting. Ooh. Because sometimes we need that little check to put us back in our lane. Don't you agree, badass?
Yeah.
She wasn't even listening to me, mi gente. You see that?
Oh, no. I've been listening. I've been listening to you go on. Yes. No, I have. Absolutely.
So
You
the
know what
bottom
I
line
like?
in anything is don't lie to yourself. Don't
How
lie
do
to
you?
yourself.
Oh, you still going?
No, I was just saying the bottom line. I was closing out on this part is
Okay.
don't lie to yourself and then get upset when other people trigger you. Or and we all get triggered by a scent, by a song, we see somebody dressed in. But don't lie to yourself. Feel it. Allow yourself to feel that moment. But don't keep lying to yourself anymore. We're so past that stage right now. I'm I'm beyond half a century old, right? I want to enjoy the rest of my years my way. Carry on.
You know what I love watching you when you have your pen? Has anybody feel this way? When you have
Oh,
your pen in your hand, you look like you're an orchestra leader. You're like talking and you're like doing this, and it's that's how you know she's a writer. That's how you know she does this because the pen is part of her finger.
oh.
That is your truth, my friend. That is your truth. So, flaws and flowers. Flaws and flowers have you acknowledged both, acknowledging your weak points as you learn to accept your strength as you grow through the concrete of past error. Welcome your superpower home. So, this is acknowledge and acceptance of the flaws and the flowers, the beauty and the beast, the positive and the negative, the good, the bad, and yeah, sometimes the ugly in the middle. It is that because that is the truth. That is who we are. Who we are at this moment in time. Who we are at this moment in time can change if we take the necessary steps to make it change. And that's why we're doing all of this. It's becoming aware of it in the first place. Oh my God, I didn't even see that. How could you miss that freaking huge elephant that's sitting in the room? But nope, you kept walking around it. So awareness is being, seeing it. Oh my God, it's there. Okay, acknowledging. Oh, okay, it's here. And what am I going to do about it? I don't know, but it's here right now. I have to accept the fact that it's here and then go to the next step. So recognizing, acknowledging, accepting our both sides of ourselves, the light and the dark, you know, celebrating the light, of course. You know, this is what makes me so fabulous. This is what makes me so great. Looking at the dark, saying, if if I wasn't aware of the dark, I wouldn't understand how fabulous the light was or is. But that dark can also hold me back. So what do I need to do about this dark? So starting right now, it's just about acknowledging and accepting, yeah, that is a part of me. That is who I am as of right now. And if it's not something that you want to have moving forward, then that's going to be the next step. Is we have to be accountable next month. And then after that, the next quarter, we're going to be taking action on how to change all these things and take those steps, changing our
Mm-hmm.
beliefs, changing our behaviors. So what are your flaws and your flowers? If you feel brave enough, type it in there. You know, I think years ago, before I really made my big transformation, I definitely had more flaws than flowers. I was not seeing any type of floristry at within myself. Like there was just like rotted stuff, you know. um Maybe that's why I love flowers so much. I'm always looking on the outside for the beauty, as opposed to acknowledging the beautiful flowers that are within me. So I actually love the title of this one, Gladiator Guru.
Well, the title to that is a painting. The reason I came up with that, because I was going through some of my paintings, right? Because I don't know, there's several that I'm no longer gonna have, and I don't want to store them. So I'm trying to figure out what can I do. Do I donate them? But how do I captivate them? And a lot of that is exactly what you said, and we didn't even talk about that, badass. Sometimes, Buddha explains the difference between like and love. And it's so simple, again, because what I say is life is so simple. We make it difficult and then we complain because we need somebody to blame. Cut the bullshit. We start living in our garden that we harvested with the weeds, because that's the negative and the positive. And weeds are more medicinal than anything. But Buddha says the difference between like and love is when you're walking down a garden and you see a beautiful rose. When you like, you pluck it and the cut. It'll last a day, but the flower will wilt and die because you removed it from its heartbeat, right? When you love, you walk by, you admire the flower where it is, and then you carry on because you just witnessed beauty grown in nature. So that's the difference with that. When I was doing my thing, and I'm thinking, the badass Buddha had something very, very, very important and very huge. She said she was so busy looking out. You are your garden, and you are the one that will nurture it, that will take care of it. Every love is going strong. And I'm so proud of, I say her, but I'm so proud of me that I have not. My plant is, she's going to be a year with me. It's the longest standing plant with me. But anyway, when you look out at your garden, at your flowers, and they're beautiful or they're wilting, it doesn't matter where they are. It matters, what are you grateful for? I have a painting that everybody was freaked out about because her eyes, and I'll show you in a minute. And I did it because I was tired of looking out into the world, as the badass Buddha just said. We are a botanical garden. When you walk, what was that cartoon that the mountain was just this beautiful garden? They took her heart, Mohana, is it? They had to bring it back, and then the island became so green and alive, and the lady who was the island was, that's us. Who's watched Moana? Is it Moana?
Is that
Where,
you
where
talking
the
about?
little girl escapes their island, they tell her not to,
Yeah, it's Moana.
and her
Yeah.
grandmother becomes this
The Phoenix or the Phoenix or
I mean,
whatever.
they're
Yeah.
cartoons and they always have a hidden agenda, these cartoons. But was that not beautiful? And when I think about who we are, that's who we are. We are islands. We are we are that magical portal that breeds life. Okay? We are the ones that carried this, and then the portal opened up and plop, out came this little thing. We're that. And if we can go back to how we carried life and brought life into this world, then you can picture yourself as this beautiful botanical gardens. And in that garden, you got to constantly be, what is it? What's that word you farmers use? You
Harvest.
no, you and your plants, because you have a lot of flowers in your yard. You got to go pull the old ones out and make sure that the bugs aren't eating away at the leaves or whatever.
Yeah,
But you
pruning. You
got to
have to
make
prune.
sure you have certain flowers and certain. The
Pruning.
badass has this tree, and it's a butterfly tree. So I was over there one day, and I'm seeing all these amazing butterflies by this thing. And she's like, "Oh yeah, it's a butterfly tree," and you just stay there and you admire at the beauty of nature, at the beauty of God, because here's this thing, and then all you see is all these butterflies around it. And to me, that is beauty. So that's what we have to be. We have to be that garden. We have to inquire within, because the flaws are many. But without the flaws, we don't make mistakes. And without mistakes, we don't learn.
Yeah, that's the truth. You live a life. I don't think you can truly be one with your world unless you've experienced, heartache and hardships, and because you will never really be able to fully connect to other people because you'll never understand.
No.
You'll be completely disconnected by. You know what it reminds you of? Remember that movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and what's his name? Danny
Danny.
DeVito, and
Mhm.
they're biologically, genetically, they're twins, but they grew up in completely different environments. And he had all the good genes, and Danny DeVito had all the bad genes. And when he finally came to look for his brother, he just when Arnold Schwarzenegger came to look for his brother, he was like completely he had no, like, nothing upset. He didn't understand sadness, he didn't understand frustration, upset. He didn't understand any of it because he had never experienced it, where that's all Danny DeVito experienced, and in the end they both learned from each other, because you kind of have to, you really, not kind of, you have to know both, right? And but that's the truth. So that is a great way to consider it, when you start really listing flaws, because it's always easier to list the flaws when you're feeling lousy about yourself. But when you list the flaws, if you say and use gratitude and say, thank you for these, because thank you for this one, thank you for this one, because I'm first off, you're acknowledging it. So you have to thank yourself for being aware and acknowledging it. It's not easy to do. And then be, grateful for the fact that, okay, this has added to me. What can I do with this information? Like, what I do specifically as a coach is I work with people who've been abused, mentally and emotionally abused. I work with people who have been in narcissistic or toxic relationships. I would have never been able to help these individuals had I not been in these relationships myself. I mean, I could learn it, I could go to school for it, and I would understand it to a certain level, but not at the level that I need to be to really work with these individuals. And I never thought that this is where my life would go. It just happened to go when I came to when I became aware of, and then acknowledged and accepted the fact that the people around me were either narcissistic or at least had the traits. So once I came to that awareness, and once I accepted it and acknowledged it, and then became accountable for my role, that's when I started to fix and work on myself and fix those flaws, but then learn from those flaws and then say, what information can I take from those flaws that will help me help other people. So it was a really cool awakening, with that. That's why it's important for you to become aware. It's important for you to acknowledge and accept, not because we want you to feel bad about yourself, especially if you're not in a great space or a great place. We don't want you to acknowledge and accept this to make you feel like shit. That would be a self-centered, mean person. We want you to look at it and go, yeah, there it is. It's right there. I'm like deep in the crap right now, but I can get out of this. I just have to acknowledge that I'm actually in the crap. If you fell into a hole at a big pile of shit, okay, think about this. If you just sit there and go, I don't smell anything, I don't know, everything's okay, and then everybody comes around, you're like, oh my God, you stink. Like, I can't be around you. You're like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Little by little, your life will shift because you're not acknowledging your world. So acknowledge it. It's the bravest thing that you can do. Accept it. But know that it can change. Like, accepting it is not, oh, well, that's it. This is all for me. Accept where you are right now, because the goal is that we're going to help you get to that next level, to change it, to change that story, to rewrite it. Just like Gladiator Guru with her pen,
my pen right here,
and the key, because she's the conductor, because she writes her own story. She writes it the way she wants it to go, literally and figuratively. But that's what you can do as well. We're never told that. We're not told that enough, or we weren't told that early enough. We're always told, oh, this is life, just going to be this way. This is who you're going to be. Just accept it. That type of acceptance is not okay. What we're saying to you is just accept the here and now, and then you will be able to move forward. Because if you look at that and go, oh God, I really can't do this anymore, I don't like the person that I am or I have become, it's okay. That's beautiful. You're being truthful to yourself. So what can you do about it? There's always a solution. That's the beauty.
There's a solution for everything, badass.
Yep.
The most important thing is, are you going to look in the mirror and be totally honest with yourself?
Mm-hmm.
I have met so many people, and I think that was that are so entitled, and all they do is talk about other people being entitled. They talk about people causing trouble or having attitudes, but then they want to go right and do something what they were just talking about the other person. So, and I'm talking about adults. So I think all of that, I was made to see and live and experience all of that. These couple months that I have been working, and I say that like with so many people like, oh, I can't wait to go to work. I'm happy for you. Working showed me that I have to light the firecrackers up my ass. I got to get more diligent on what it is that I do. I am a traveling magician. I make money everywhere I go. I just got to dedicate myself to it. I can write anywhere. I can paint anywhere. I've had more art shows and solo art shows in Connecticut while I'm living in Florida. So I am a traveling musician. Everywhere I go, I can be who I am because I always walk in my truth. I'm not here for anyone to be accepting of me because I accept myself. I accept myself with my flaws and my botanical garden of flowers. If I do not do that, then how the hell am I expected to go out in the world and give a shit what anybody says? Because I'm not going to be accepted by anyone until I truly and lovingly accept myself with my flaws, figure them out, grow, change from them, or grow out of them. But never forget them.
Can we acknowledge what Tanya wrote here? So Tanya said, this morning I had self-talk about my relationship. I had to acknowledge that this person told me who he was from the beginning. I had to accept that I knew where this was going to go. So the solution is to be honest and learn to tell myself the truth. I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. We're perfectly imperfect, or we're perfect
when it comes to love.
We're perfect for ourselves. But Tanya, that was beautiful. That was such a beautiful
Powerful. Powerful.
acknowledgement. And the reason we don't like to acknowledge stuff because the bad stuff, because we have to acknowledge it. We have to, because there's going to be the next piece, like next month, is with acknowledgement and acceptance comes accountability, which we'll talk about next month for March. So there's this like, when in my first marriage, when I was dating him, he made it very clear to me that he did not want children. Okay. And I had always wanted children. But in my head, I figured, oh, well, he's going to love me so much that he's going to want to he'll change his mind. And so I said to him, you know, yeah, I really, I could care less. I don't need to have any children. Right. And I look back at that and go, God, how sad was that? Like, how sad was it that I was so willing to give myself just for that other person? Because in my head, I'm going in there going, oh, he'll change his mind. He'll change. Right. And instead of just saying, well, that's a non-negotiable for me because I definitely need children. And there were so many times where I never gave my non-negotiables. I was never clear about it. So of course my marriages went into the directions that they did because I either wasn't clear about it or I wasn't firm about it. So
Yes, and that was
some stay
powerful.
in these relationships because let me just finish this one statement. Sometimes we stay in these relationships because we know it, but we're like, but I'm here and I've already put this time in and it's kind of too late to stop. But we can't live life so rigid like that. We can't, like, okay, so what? 20 years. I know somebody who got out of a 46-year relationship. She finally had enough. He was very abusive emotionally and mentally. And she finally said, oh my God, I can't take this anymore. She's in her 70s. And she's like, I can't take this anymore. Or she's in her early 70s. And she just said, that's it. You know how many women have just, and men have let things ride because they're just like, well, I'm getting older. Well, I'm, comfortable here. Well, I'd have to give up this lifestyle. So recreate it yourself. So go ahead, Gladiator Guru.
No, that you're absolutely right. And we do that because we're too busy looking outside of ourselves about what are people going to say, what are the children going to think. We look out people, places, and things. Well, I worked hard to build this house and everything that's in it. If I leave him, then half of his money, I only get half or maybe not. And it's always outside of us. And um yeah, three. I have moved out of 3 of my relationships. I moved out. Common law, 7+ years each. So yeah. And left everything. I moved out of my places. I packed my kids, their clothes, my books, and we were out. And I always had family, so I never was scared to do any of that. But I've left fully furnished. The second one was a 14-year relationship. And I had, for like maybe going on 10 years, has started collecting antiques. Like I would go to all these places in Stratford and Milford and Devon. And I collected a whole bunch of antique stuff. And like Lori said, we do these things and then we wonder, is it time? But let me tell you something. I left everything. I've walked out on everything. When I said no mas, when I say no mas on this show, I mean that I am no mas. There's no, I give you a second. I'm going to ask you to do something the first time. And we're all like a little slackish. I'll let you slide. I'm going to ask you the second time. If you don't do it, that's it.
And I love that. I love that about you. That has been so, I got to tell you that in the friendship that I have had with Gladiator Guru, and now it's 4 years. That is the piece that I have admired so much because I was so not that person. And I still have challenges being that person sometimes. And it is just, it's so impressive for you to just be so, so, like, this is how it is, it's going to be for me, like, period. You know, it's not saying that you're not allowing the person to be who they are. It's just like, look, if this is going to work, this, you know, I'm playing this part, you're playing that part, and this is the way it's got to be. And if it can't be that way, then you do you and I'll do me, and we'll go and we'll split up, you know. I mean, relationships, yes, they're about compromising, but they're not about giving up yourself for that compromise, you know?
Mm-mm.
So if you're with the right person, like when you talk about Eric, and she's so funny when she talks about Eric, because she'll say, like, I never would have ever thought I was with him. But
No, he was. I never found him attractive until my heart fell in love with him.
yeah, and I think he was adorable. I think he was adorable. But he knew her.
Yeah,
He respected her, and he was like a great match for her, because he knew how big she was and how much she needed to shine, and he wasn't threatened by that,
not
and
at
he
all.
was fine with staying in the back, because that was the role that he wanted to play. It wasn't like she shoved him in the back, so get back there. He wanted to play that role. You know, when you get two people that have, you know, they both want to play that head role and they're not willing to compromise, or the other person is getting what's the word, I'm intimidated by you being upfront, that is a non-negotiable, you know. And so we've talked about that before. It's like, are you going to be the center person in your life? Are you going to be the one on stage? Are you going to, all these metaphors, you know, are you going to be, you know, in the cheap seats or the VIP seats to your life? You know, are you going to sit on the sideline to play the game? I mean, there's so many things you could say, but that's the whole point of us telling you and doing these things with you, to
Yes.
remind you, wake up. Did it not happen for you in 2022? Did you partially wake up? You know, one of the things that happened to me in 2022 was I woke up even further. 2022 was a big necessary wake up call from 2021. And I was on track to make a huge life change that didn't happen. And if I said to you, and I was good with that, you know, I'm like, good, bring it on, I'd be lying. I hit a little rock bottom for a brief period right after my dad died, going, what the hell am I going to do now? I gave up that opportunity. And what am I going to do now? And I started to fall into that like space of saying, oh God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I lost my footing. I lost my footing. And then I had to stop and say, okay, redirect what was positive about those things, what were going to be the negative things about those things, and what are you going to do now, what's important to you. So I had to go back and review. I had to sit and be truthful to myself. What really is important to me? What are my values? What are my dreams? What is it that I want in my life? And would
Mm-hmm.
that have provided those things for me? And if not, what the hell are you going to do about it to get that other stuff to happen? So now I have a new lease on, not a new lease on life. Now I have the next chapter. Now it's like, now it's the, okay, that chapter closed. Let me start a new chapter. What the hell
Mm-hmm.
is 2023 going to look like? And, you know, I refuse to let 2023 go by, because we're already in the middle of February. Hear what I said? I almost said May. We're already in the middle of February. So I could be freaking out going, oh my God, oh my God. But you know what? It's still the beginning of the year. But I am aware that it can go fast. So start to make it happen.
You have to. You have to start where you're at with what you have. Don't
Yes.
see the biggest mistake in anything, whether you're leaving your lover, you're leaving your family's house, whether whatever you want to start a business. People, we spend so much time planning and strategizing. Well, I'm gonna get this, and then I'm gonna do this, and you want to connect the fucking dots, and then when you come look at it, your pen done run out of ink, and you can't connect the dots, and then you start falling inside. Your frequencies, your vibrations start falling, and then you succumb to the darkness, because that's what happens. You have to start where you're at with what you have. One, let me go, Tanya. I celebrate you. I
Yes.
applaud you.
Yes.
I bow to
Yep.
you. Why? Because you are looking within. You're inquiring within. You took time out. You hushed the world around you and you inquired within. And to ask yourself those questions, okay? They're hard because it hurts. You get angry when someone else asks you that, but for you to take the time out to ask yourself those questions, is that's power, that's strength.
She said, I was never clear in any of my relationships, but expected them to. Yes, looking outside of ourselves instead of within. Me too, girl. You are
Now let
not
me
alone.
tell you.
That was me. You and I are kindred sister spirits because that's exactly how I was. Instead of looking and creating the person that was best matched for me, my thing was always looking at these other people that I felt I could change and work through, and they would change for me, and it was completely trying to boost my insecurities as they would want to make these changes for me. One thing I learned, especially with men, is grown-ass men, they will not change unless they want to. Sometimes they barely change their underwear. You know what I'm saying? So they will not, like, I'm not saying they can't or won't, but they're not going to do it for you. And then the real wake up call was, I don't want anybody to change for me. If you want to change, you change for you because you want to see this relationship work.
Yes.
Don't you dare say, I'm going to change for you, because that will just lead to resentment. That will just lead. So no. And so
It's the same way with men, you know. Weak, pathetic women who say, well, I just want to make them happy. And you yes them. And then you become so unhappy because you lost yourself and you blame your partner. Check yourself. I say this with all the love in the world. I grew up with a very needy mom who wanted validation from her men. And here it is at my age, at 54, I don't like needy women. When I see here someone and they start that, well, you don't understand and blah, blah, blah. I first of all, I close my ears to them and I walk away. And they're like, oh, I don't got time for that shit. And I tell them, why? Because what service am I going to give to sit there and listen to them? First of all, it is not something I enjoy listening to. It is my like or dislike. So in my space, I protect what comes in or out. And I cannot tolerate a woman like that. Most of my friends are men, and I have heard from all of them. They like a tough cookie. They like a woman with boundaries. They don't like women. I mean, it's easy for them. It's easy for them to have a woman that they know is going to do whatever they say. So it's not that you're horrible for being this person. I lived with it all my life, which made me second-class citizen to the second-class citizen. So I choose not to be around it. I chose never to be it because I lived it and I know how it made me feel. So the same way the badass Buddha just said about men, it goes for you women too. We need to not conform. If they say, well, I don't like a woman, then okay, bye. When I left my second husband, it was the second attempt to leave him. So like I said, it's always true. I left him being in love with him. Why? Because he was stubborn and he was intimidated. And I think the straw that broke the camel's back with him when it came to me was in August, I was nominated Poet of the Year in Washington, D.C. And I wanted him to be there with me. I wanted him to see me go on that stage and recite. And I didn't care if I won, I was nominated. And he waited to the last minute to say I couldn't get a ticket, so I guess you can't go.
Oh,
and I said, oh, I'm so sorry that you're not going, but that's okay. I'll ask Diane to go with me. So I asked my best friend Diana Lugo, Diana LaBoy, and she passed away. So we went. I spent the weekend in Georgetown, had a blast, took pictures with other authors and everything. There I met a reporter for Latina magazine, and anybody who knows Latina magazine, yes, it's that the first edition of Latina magazine that ever came out in, I want to say 1997, was J-Lo was on the cover. I came out in 2001. And that is where he actually said he was going to call the magazine and tell them that everything they wrote about me was lies, that I didn't deserve to be in a magazine. So I knew that was his issue, not mine, but I did not want to stay somewhere where I wasn't valued for who I was. And this is me in my late 20s. And I loved him. And you know what? To this day, I mean, next month will be 6 years my husband passed away. But this husband is alive and kicking, and I will always love him. He taught me how to be a woman, a mature woman, mother. He taught me how to iron on an ironing board. When I tell you, I learned so much, and I'm not ashamed to say that this man has taught me so much that brought forth in my life. But then somewhere down the road, I became to be too intimidating for him. And as she said earlier, yeah, you got to meet people and love yourself through the process and continue to be who you are, regardless of the love you have for somebody. And that is inquiring within. So as I said earlier about, what do they say about the eyes? What's that quote, badass?
Which one?
About the eyes. The eyes are the windows to the
To the
soul.
soul. Yeah, the eyes are the windows to the soul.
And here we are, we're always looking out. Always looking out to people, places, and things. And
that's why we close our eyes at night to go to sleep. It gives us a chance
but
to
we're
look
too
at.
tired. So you're out looking out. You're looking at people, places, and things, and then you get hungry because you want that. Oh, so and so has that. I need to get one. And what am I going to be an influencer? And how many this? And you're out and you're trying to achieve so many things outside of you. Just look inside. So I have this. It's the first of my series to go with my journal. This is one of my paintings.
That's the one
Everybody
that
thought it was creepy.
That's the one that thought people didn't like.
This is the one people didn't like. They thought it was creepy, that she looked scary, that she looked evil. It's a big painting, but I did a small notebook. And you know what? Her eyes, she's not none of that. She's beautiful.
I love
but
it.
She decided to look inside of her. So on the back of my notebook, it says, learn to love the world within. Look deep inside yourself. Margarita de Margarita. That's what this means. So when you brought that up, I was like, oh, wow. So let me tell you something. You're not going to always like what you see inside, because we have very ugly, dark places, little caves within us. Okay? But face them. It's you. You need the sour to enjoy the sweet part of you. You need to learn to be ridiculously curious with yourself. The same way when you get a man and you stalk that person and you want to find out everything about them, and you ask so-and-so, do you know so-and-so? And you go into their social media and who liked what and everything. Be that curious in your life, because you're never going to leave you. Whether you like yourself, whether you hate yourself, whether you love yourself, you're stuck with yourself. So Google your own ass and figure out where you need to grow, where it is that you need to do. When you go out into the world every day of your life, be curious. I don't like that smell.
That's a good, you always say this. You do say that a lot. Be ridiculously curious about yourself. And I really don't think that we really let that sink in, because we're always so curious about other things. And there's nothing wrong with being curious about other things. I am a big fan of learning. Learning in any capacity, whether you're learning about something else or learning about yourself. I'm huge on that. I am emphatically a teacher. That is my passion. I think I was born to do that. So I'm always, I'm always doing that. I like, but I also like learning. I'm very good at being a student too. But really, like, just how often do we actually take a moment during our day and look inward and just focus on ourselves? Just
what we don't want to see the ugly.
How am I feeling today? Yeah, but don't focus on the ugly then. You don't have to focus on the ugly. Just focus on what's fabulous about you. Could be like one thing, could be like your one toenail is like superb, Just like that's like I love this part about me, or my left ear is just fantastic. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but just start it that way, you know? Look at yourself in the mirror and really look at your face and say to yourself, what you love about it. Don't say what you hate about it, because that always becomes, oh, I can't stand my hair and I can't stand that and I can't stand that. Just look at it and say, oh my God, I love this about myself. I love this about myself. Listen, I will be, forthcoming with this, right? Because I've said this before. I have alopecia. I mean, I'm literally losing my hair. I have bald spots. I have my hair it's nothing like it used to be. But I have still a lot of hair, and I have long hair. And I can cover up the bald spots to a certain extent, for my own thing. It's just for me. But I love my hair. Like I love, love, love my hair. I look at my hair every day, even when it gets frizzy. But especially when I like let it air dry fresh after that shower and it's just curly and shiny. I'm like, I love my hair. Like I touch it, I play with it. I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I love my hair. I don't focus on the bald spots, which I don't like. I mean, I'm not going to say I love them, They make me, when I don't cover them up, I look older. I look sick. And that's not me. I am not an older person. I am not sick. I am as crazy kiddish as they could, as you can be. So that doesn't represent me. So I'm not focusing on that. I don't look at oh, I got these stupid bald spots, these stupid bald spots. I look at it and I say, oh my God, I love my hair. I love my hair. And when somebody says to me, you should cut it, you should do a different style, I'm like,
Mind your business.
I love my hair. Leave me alone. Yes, I could afford a trim. True. But I love my hair. Like my mother used to say that to me for years. I've always had long hair. Well, not always. I mean, there was a time where I had short hair, but my mother used to say, she said that to me like 20 years ago for like 5 years straight. You need to cut your hair. You need to cut your hair. I'm like, finally, I'm like, why? Why do I need to cut my hair? She's like, because you're getting older. What does that mean? Is that like a law? Like when you get to like be
it's a society set. Yep, it is
society,
society.
right? I used to say, what if an alien came down and like landed at a senior center? They would be like, all these women look exactly the same because they all have the short hair. And I started to really love when I would see women, mature aged women with long hair. That there's this one commercial where there's all different people on, very diverse ages, backgrounds. There's this Asian lady who's got, I think she's Asian or she might be mixed because she also looks she might be black, but she's got very long hair. I mean, really long hair, and it's black and gray. And she is so stunning. Every time I look at that commercial, I cannot take my eyes off of her. I'm like, how stunning is this woman? And I would probably say she's probably in her 70s. That's what I'm thinking, like early 70s. Just spectacular. I'm like, that's what I would love. I would just love those bald spots to just start filling in so that I don't have to get rid of this long hair. But if it keeps going away, then it's going to get shaved.
Milagros says she loves her short hair. And that's what we're talking about, Milagros, is loving who you are.
Oh, thanks.
With the flaws, but yet realizing that, you know what, we need to fill up certain spots with whatever it is, the flower dirt, because there's going to be flaws in our garden. But as long as you acknowledge your flaws, but you relish all the beauty that you're seeing, and you're breathing it in, and you're taking it in, and you're looking at it, and you're allowing yourself to feel like, I'm constantly in black, but I love color. And sometimes when I'll see a certain color, it makes me emotional, like the yellows and the oranges. It makes me emotional because to me, they're just so happy. They remind me like a bush of daisies for some reason. and in those colors. And I think that that's what it is. Love where you are, because that's the only you have is what you have in your possession at this moment. And if we're constantly criticizing ourselves, then how dare we say we love who we are, or that we're growing, or that we're getting better? You know what? To grow into yourself,
That's a really good point.
it
That
is.
is that is a really, really good point. Say it again if you remember what you said.
I
How can
don't.
we how you
Oh,
said how can uh we could criticize ourselves but then
yeah.
say that we're growing.
Yes. How do we criticize ourselves
That's so
and then
true.
say we want to grow, or that we're growing into ourselves?
Oh
We
my God.
cannot be the bully and the savior at the same time.
Oh my God, absolutely.
We cannot.
Yep.
And so when we realize that we are, listen, my chapter is about loving where you are. Because if you love, not like, not accept, when you love who you are, where you are, in the only moment that we own, which is now, then we truly see our flaws and we start tending our garden. Without being totally present for yourself, then you're going to hear what society says is acceptable as a woman. I'm never going to have the flat tummy, the plumpy ass, and the firm tits. I'm not. And if that's what all these men are looking for, then guess what? I guess I'm going to be single and celibate for a very long time.
And we know that that's not that's not what they're looking for anyway. It's like
So,
not everybody.
so what I'm saying is, love, you know what? I have my own horror stories that I have to overcome. And sometimes, I'm not ashamed to say, sometimes I'm like, oop, I hit my own wall. Because the badass Buddha and I are not perfect. We are not up here, we are not the pastors of our churches, the priests. We are not the Pope. What we are is human, and what we are is women, and what we are mothers who have, through our tragedies, have still been present for our kids the best way we possibly could in that moment. And it doesn't mean that because we are here today speaking that we are completely healed, because then we would be lying and not walking in our truths. See, in writing this chapter that I am writing for this book, I have discovered that I still suffer from my rape when I was 19. Why? And what made me think about it? When I came out the shower the other day and I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I'm still scrubbing my skin till it's red or scratched. And it was something that I didn't realize I did on a normal.
Talk about an
But,
acknowledgement.
but the other day, yesterday, when I get out the shower, I'm like, what the hell is that? Like it burned. And I go into the mirror and I'm red. And my underarms, they're red. Everything's red. And then I scratch myself. So do not continue to be a bully if you want to walk with the Savior. You cannot be both. I was abused by other people, but for the most part of my life, I bullied myself. No mas. I can't change what happened to me. And pretty much I live my life with, okay, it happened. But there's always little things that you lost sight of. So I needed to see that in the mirror, because I was kind of stuck on what I was writing. And although that's not going in what I'm writing, but it's my life. So it opened up other doors, because I started organizing to eliminate. So I had to recount that, acknowledge it, be like, what the fuck? And be happy that I acknowledged it, and be okay that I am human. Because sometimes I am just such an extremist with, like, that's it, I'm done, I'm over that I don't realize that because I bullied myself for years. So don't do that. Don't be that no more. Why? Because you are loved, because you are beautiful, because you know what? Those bugs are going to get in and try and tear up your leaves and eat through your beautiful petals, but you're still going to be a garden. And the reason those bugs need to come in is to remind us, bitch, you ain't perfect, so check yourself. Everything's a reminder in life. Everything.
Yeah.
Stop only looking at the pretty things, because every rose has its thorns.
That's
Look
right.
at them both. If you look at them both and accept them both, you live a happier, more fulfilling life.
And with that, that's a powerful note to leave on. So jot it down. Take a moment for yourself. Acknowledge your flaws and your flowers. And like Gladiator Guru said, acknowledging your weak points as you learn to accept your strength and you grow through that concrete, or you blow through that concrete because
Listen to
it's
Tupac.
your
When
superpower.
the rose grew through concrete in Brooklyn. Tupac's he was way ahead of his time, but he says a lot of truth as well. So if you don't listen to Tupac, try listening to some of his songs, especially that one, because it is through all adversity, through our trauma, drama, chaos, abuse. You go out into the city and there's vines growing through the cracks in the sidewalk, growing out of building. There's flowers growing out of places where it was never meant to grow. But they grow, and that's how we are. We're resilient and we're strong and we're determined and we're seeking, always seeking, because flaws and flowers is your name. Own it. Enjoy the sweet and the sour and live.
All right. So thank you for being here today. We'll be back on Tuesday with what is your I need my glasses. What is your core of I am? We haven't figured that one out yet. Or can you
Yeah,
claim
what is the
your
core
I
of
am?
I
We haven't figured
am?
out the title.
Yeah, that is what is the
Yeah,
core of I am?
you have two titles, so we have to figure out what. But it's about I am. It's about I am. So get ready for that. Everybody have an absolutely beautiful weekend and enjoy wherever you are. Make it beautiful for you. Do something fun. Do something.
Yes.
So,
And ladies, I
thank you
will be
everybody
in
for coming.
Connecticut.
And
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
good.
My computer's slow, so there's a delay. Same to you. Listen, I will be in Connecticut next month. The Badass Buddha hasn't confirmed if she has any time for me. But this I will tell you. I'm only there to be with my siblings, my sisters, because one day is my husband's 6-year death anniversary, and 3 days later, it's my mom's 2-year. But I'm trying to fit in an in-person workshop um, with the journals. I'm having an online one, but I will do an in-person one in Connecticut when I'm there. So I'll give you details, and I hope the Badass Buddha can be there. And let's make it do what it do, because time waits for no one, and the balance to life is death. So let's live well in between.
I also forgot to mention about donating to Journal of Hope. So I'm actually going to put
Yes,
this
please
quickly
do.
on there. I totally forgot. And I told her that I would show it. So I'm just going to put a link in there if you want to donate to Journal of Hope. We're collecting um, journals all month. So for the month, and we're going to be in Stamford Saturday, actually collecting at the library there. So you can click on that link. You can go there. You can donate money, but you can also buy journals. Put a little message on that back page, on the back cover, to the person that you are donating to. It's a girl or a boy. They're usually, between the ages of 10 and 18.
Good.
And just donate something and write something inspirational. You could donate one journal, you could donate multiple journals. But if you click on that, you can at least get the idea of what to do. You could also purchase a journal from Journal of Hope, and then they all get handed out to children. So again, thank you for coming on today, and thank you for letting me post that. So thank you, everybody. And from the Badass Buddha, remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
And from the Gladiator Guru, mi gente, remember to breathe in the beauty and breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.